Part 70. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 693. Lu Feng thought about it and realized that the three people around him were enough to conquer the world of martial arts. There was no need to bring more people. However, Zhao Yun's worries were not entirely unreasonable. Go and instruct Long Wu to organize 50 people to serve as personal guards and be on standby. There are a lot of people in the martial arts world. Although there are already some top masters around, it is better to bring a few more people so that he can dispatch them when the time comes. The dragon warriors are quite powerful. As personal guards, they are very qualified and can be just right. With 50 of them, plus 3 top masters, a total of 53 people is enough. After taking these people with him, Lu Feng quickly went to the transfer hall, preparing to enter the world of Tianlong Ba Bulletin. For I am also full of expectations at which time point I will appear in this world. As long as I don't teleport to the time point where Qiao Feng committed suicide, then everything will still be possible. There is only one really difficult part of this mission, and that is that it cannot let Qiao Feng commit suicide. And we must also be on guard against this woman Aza. If she seizes the opportunity and jumps off the cliff with Qiao Feng in her arms, there will be no bones left and no one can save her. After the teleportation, Lu Feng took the 513 people appeared outside Yanmen Pass. Lu Feng's heart skipped a beat because he was actually teleported outside Yanmen Pass. This is a special place. You must know that many historical events such as Qiao Feng's suicide outside Yanmen Pass happened here. Is it possible that now? Is it too late? He grabbed a passerby and asked him what time it was. Who was the emperor sitting in the current position? Judging from the way you are dressed, you don't look like outsiders. How can you think that this is the Yuanyu period? The common people passing by looked confused. He thought that the current emperor was in good health and a man who was willing to take the initiative to fight. How could there be ordinary people who didn't know about him? In the Song dynasty, emperors were generally cowardly, and everyone valued civility over military affairs. There has always been only one emperor, that is, Song Zhezong, and Zhao Su was willing to fight. Yuanyu was the reign title of Song Zhezong after he ascended the throne. How old is Yuanyu now? Lu Feng asked. Of course Ida Euro trademark S the first year of Yuanyu. The common people ignored Lu Feng and thought he was a lunatic, so they turned around and left. Well, just the first year of Yuanyu. It was in the first year of Yuanyu that Qiao Feng knew his life experience and began to take revenge. As long as he told him all the truth in advance and warned him at this time, he could avert some tragedy. Lu Feng clapped his hands and applauded. He still remembered that Mr. Jin Yong once said that when he created this book, the background was set around 1904 AD, and this period happened to be when Song Zhezong Zhao Su ascended the throne. And Song Zhezong Zhao Su at the same time as he ascended the throne, Qiao Feng also became the leader of the beggar clan and was involved in a series of conspiracies. All this was just the beginning. In less than a year, Qiao Feng left the Song dynasty and entered Daliao to become the prince. I can only think that it will only take a few months for Qiao Feng to take revenge. Now that Lu Feng is involved in it, he realizes how fast time flies. Without further ado, he immediately entered Yanmen Pass and found some local beggars. These people, they are all under the jurisdiction of the beggar clan, and you can directly find Qiao Feng through them. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 694. The guarding of Yanmen Pass is not very strict. As long as you can prove that you are from the central plains of the Song dynasty, you will not be challenged and can enter and exit freely. In Mr. Jin Yong's martial arts world, every hero has a heroic demeanor and will definitely protect his country. Therefore, many of his heroes eventually became tragedies. The guardians of each level happen to be these powerful heroes, such as Guozheng. The 8 parts of Tianlong are Qiaofeng and the others. When you enter the city, you can see many beggars begging along the streets. This is a border city, and every household has a very difficult life, so beggars are common. Soldiers patrol the streets to prevent fights over environmental issues from causing more unrest in the city. Hey, little beggar, how many generations of disciples are you from your beggar gang? Can we find Qiaofeng? The current gang leader is probably Qiaofeng. Lu Feng asked people to disperse to find the gathering place of these beggars. After waiting for a stick of incense, they finally arrived at a ruined temple in the suburbs. All the beggars were begging. They would gather here in the future. He brought people here. Go to this ruined temple and point to one of the beggars who seems to be standing in the middle and ask, "Who are you? What does it mean to come here? I advise you not to underestimate us. We are all disciples of the beggar clan. If you dare to do anything to us, beggars all over the world will seek revenge on you." The man in the middle is indeed the boss of the beggars in Yanmen Pass. He looked at Lu Feng warily and looked at him with distrust. The other disciples of the beggar gang were holding the sticks in their hands and were ready to take action at any time. These disciples are still very united. Everyone has understood that the current situation is unclear and they must unite to deal with Lu Feng. Don't be nervous, I'm not here to cause trouble for you beggar clan. I'm just here to find out where gang leader Qiao is now. I have something very important to see him for. Lu Feng waved his hand and told them to calm down. He didn't come here to fight. He must race against time to find Qiaofeng, otherwise, Qiaofeng will go around to seek revenge and cause more and more trouble. Even if I want to save him, I can't help it. Now ask these little beggars to determine where Qiaofeng has gone now. We don't know this. If you really want to, you can find our former gang leader Qiao yourself. No one knows where he is now. I heard from the elders that Qiaofeng is no longer our gang leader. The beggar in the middle looked at Lu Feng suspiciously, but seeing that the people behind him had the aura of masters, but did not take action at all, he felt relieved and told Lu Feng this most important information. The other party obviously had this strength, but if you don't force him with force, it proves that the other party does not have any malicious intentions. Oh, has it already reached this stage? Since Qiaofeng is no longer the leader of the beggar clan, it means that he is now on the road to revenge, and has most likely met Xiao Yuanshan. So the most likely place they are now is the Shaolin Temple, and Lu Feng should not stop. He took people to the Shaolin Temple and waited. Abbot Suansi should have been waiting in the Shaolin Temple for a long time by this time. Let's go to Shaolin Temple. Without further words, Lu Feng took the people and set off. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 695. Lu Feng quickly led people to the Shaolin Temple. However, the Shaolin Temple had many rules. Outsiders like them were not allowed to enter or exit at will. The Shaolin Temple here is not the modern 21st century Shaolin Temple. Apart from burning incense and worshipping Buddha, pilgrims have nothing else to do. The Shaolin Temple here has many rules. Whether you can enter the Shaolin Temple is decided by the abbot of the Shaolin Temple, and you cannot enter or exit at will. Now Lin Chen is stuck here. The little novice monk stopped Lin Chen and his people outside, saying that the mountain was closed and they were not allowed to enter the mountain or the temple. I am really sorry to all the donors. Something happened in Shaolin Temple recently and I cannot let the donors express their feelings. Compared with the Buddha, I would not blame the donors for burning incense less often. As long as the donor has Buddha in his heart, it will be the same wherever he burns incense. The little novice said something very one-sided, but at first glance, it seems to make sense and is irrefutable. Little master, You don't a Euro trademark T have to rush us away. We are here to save Master Suansi. This is for the Shaolin Temple and for the good of the world a Euro trademark S martial arts community. Lu Feng tried to persuade the little novice monk with good words, and wanted to let them go. He didn't want to have an unnecessary conflict with the Shaolin Temple before meeting Master Suansi. Donor, please come back. Master Suansi really doesn't a Euro trademark TC visitors now. The little novice monk was very insistent and remained unmoved no matter what he said. The group of monks behind him stared at Lu Feng closely, with the intention of taking action if they disagreed. In short, they would never let Lu Feng pass. You bunch of stumbling blocks, wherever your majesty, young master wants to go, there's nothing he can't go to. If you continue to be so ungrateful, don't blame us for being rude. Mad Dog Dianwei could not bear this anger. He glared at the people of Shaolin Temple, thinking that they did not know how to respect their emperor. He was so angry that he wanted to hammer these people to death right now. Dianwei, why are you so crazy? Your Majesty hasn't spoken yet, so don't make any arbitrary decisions. Zhao Yun quickly stopped Dianwei and told him not to go crazy. Lu Feng, the emperor, had not even said that he would fight all the way up. They, the subordinates, would be overstepping their bounds by taking action without permission. The two of them lowered their voices. Even though he spoke, he did not change the title of His Majesty. The novice monks in Shaolin Temple are such sharp-eared people. When they heard this title, they immediately became vigilant. His Majesty? May I ask what your identity is? Where do you come from? The little novice monk is not mentally retarded. Of course he knows that the only person who can be called Your Majesty is the Emperor. In this world, there are the emperors of the Song dynasty, the great Khans of the Liao kingdom, the Khitan kingdom, etc., who are also emperors. These people all belong to the same country. Rulers must not be offended. Even if there are masters in their Shaolin temple, they would not dare to offend the ruler of a country. I am a Han, but not a Han from the Song dynasty. I can't a Euro trademark T explain it to you. You should go back and ask your master Suansi. I am here because of Chiao Fenga Euro trademark S affairs. He must see me, otherwise it will be too late. Lu Feng had a serious look on his face. He wanted to slowly explain to the young novices about traveling from other worlds. It would probably be very difficult. After all, these young novices were not at a high level and they would not understand even if they spoke. If he could communicate with a master of Master Suansi's level, talking face to face, he must be able to easily understand what Lu Feng is talking about. 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 696. The young novice monk was dubious about Lu Feng's words, but he couldn't explain why for a while. He could only turn around and discuss it with the fellow monks behind him. I also asked the donor to wait for a moment. I need to ask my fellow disciples carefully and I dare not make any arbitrary decisions. The little novice clasped his hands together, apologized with a sorry look and turned around. The monks also became nervous. They also attached great importance to the title Your Majesty said by the little novice. Even if they are people in the world, who would care about it? Are these 2 words not tense? Zilong, you didn't change the way you addressed me, but it unexpectedly worked. Lu Feng touched his chin. Originally, he wanted to work in the world and not reveal his identity for the time being. But now it seems that it is difficult for ordinary people to work in the Shaolin Temple. Although these people are monks, it seems that he is not really that pure-hearted. He is not a tyrant, and he will casually kill the Shaolin Temple because of such a trivial matter. Are these young novices so nervous? Please forgive me for your sins. Your Majesty ordered that your identity should not be revealed. Now I am just talking to General Dianwei, but I have forgotten that the other person is also a martial arts practitioner. Of course he can hear what I say at such a close distance. I ignored this. Yes, I'm really sorry, Your Majesty. Zhao Yun knelt on the ground, very frightened, thinking that he had failed Lu Feng's holy will, and wanted to plead guilty and let Lu Feng punish him. "Ita Euro trademark s not your fault. The young novice here also has some skills. It seems that the average level of people in this martial arts world is indeed very high. You don't a Euro trademark T have to blame yourself. Ita Euro trademark s just a conversation between colleagues. How can you expect the other party to even listen to this? Get up, not to mention, because of your address this time, the people in Shaolin Temple have changed their views, which can be regarded as a blessing in disguise." Lu Feng didn't care about being called someone who exposed his identity. After all, it had no impact on the actual things to be done. On the contrary, it made the little novice monk's attitude less firm at first. "This is a good thing. Your Majesty is magnanimous, and I am ashamed of myself." Zhao Yun was forgiven by Lu Feng, and then he dared to stand up. Dian Wei seemed to be in a normal state at this time, but he also had the purpose of demonstrating with the little novice monk. He found a huge stone from the side that could sit on. With only his hands he moved the huge stone from its original position and placed it behind Lu Feng. He then took off his clothes and used them as a cushion so that Lu Feng could sit on clean clothes. "The stone is really crude, but we have no choice but to have a suitable throne outside to serve Your Majesty. Please forgive me and make do with it for the time being." Dian Wei sincerely apologized and acted so solemnly for a seat, which made the monks feel that Lu Feng's ability to serve was very good, and all his subordinates were loyal and surrendered. And the extremely powerful Dian Wei also made the monks saw part of his strength. You must know that the huge stone is a heavy object that even their monks cannot lift. It has been placed at the gate of the mountain for so many years, and even the abbot gave up, saying that it was on the premise that he did not use his internal strength. Under the conditions, this boulder cannot be moved at all. It is better to let it stay at the door. It can be regarded as a piece of scenery. Over time, it has become an alchemy stone in Shaolin Temple. See which monk can make the boulder shake even a little. This monk's future is limitless. 3 Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 697. But now, this huge boulder, which seemed extremely heavy to the monks, was easily lifted by Dian Wei and used as a seat casually. It was a silent mockery of their martial arts and a symbol of strength. "This is a demonstration. Junior brother, that person looks very strong. We can't beat him. Even if we form a formation, we may not be able to win. If we stay blocked here, will we make them angry? When they force a breakthrough, we can't stop them." The little novice monk is the youngest and has been initiated for the shortest time. Everyone calls him junior brother. There is a sensible person among the monks. He can see that the importance of the matter is beyond the control of those who block the door, especially Dian Wei's skills. Shiu, their scalps were numb, who dared to stop such a monster. "So brother, do you have any ideas? Abbot Suansi ordered me to wait here to guard the mountain. It wouldn't make sense to let him go like this, but we can't stop him, we will only get hurt." The little novice monk was also confused. He didn't know what to do. Several fellow apprentices gathered around and couldn't come up with a reason. The only thing they knew was that they didn't want to fight the mad dog Dian Wei. He looked like a ruthless person. "Then why don't you, junior brother, go talk to Abbot Suansi? We don't a Euro trademark T dare. Junior brother, you were picked up by Abbot Suansi. Ita Euro trademark s only appropriate to go. Seeing how sternly Abbot Suansi has told us to close the mountain in the past 2 days, how dare we go and tell him about someone coming? This senior brother is also a coward. He gets so scared when he thinks of Abbot Suansi. Although they don't understand these 2 days, Lu Feng understands. Abbot Suansi intends to settle things with Jiaofeng and does not welcome other people. They all got together to avoid trouble. He also wanted to forgive himself for what happened back then, but he didn't want his bad reputation to be publicized, and he also hoped that Jiaofeng's revenge would end here. But he never expected that all his plans would fail. So many people gathered at the Shaolin Temple. It was revealed that Suzu was his son. Xiao Yuanshan and Murong's father, who were killed in the explosion, stopped pretending to be dead. All the past events were revealed, and all hopes were lost. I wonder if Abbot Suansi would have jumped out of the coffin board in anger if he knew what would happen. Okay, I'll give it a try. Donor, please wait a moment. I will go and ask Abbot Suansi for instructions. The little novice monk looked helpless. He was the youngest. He could only do what the senior brothers said and could not find a chance to refute. He didn't feel the need to refute. He was the only one who went to Abbot Suansi to talk. The least likely to be scolded. He could only helplessly turn around and ask Lu Feng not to be angry. He was now a little worried that if he offended His Majesty, the Shaolin Temple would be surrounded by heavy troops. I'm not a bad person. Just ask Abbot Suansi. I'll wait for you here. However, I will only give you a cup of tea. Lu Feng is also giving the little novice a time limit. His patience is also limited. He cannot waste it here indefinitely. Otherwise, Jiaofeng may rush up and he is still here. What's more, Jiaofeng can completely sneaking into Abbot Suansi's Zen room at night. No one in the entire Shaolin Temple would notice. If sneaking at night was not in line with Lu Feng's style, he might have done it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 698. The young novice monk could only smile and agree to Lu Feng, turn around and run away, not daring to rest along the way, fearing that there would not be enough time and angering Lu Feng, and he could not bear the consequences. Panting, he ran outside Abbot Suansi's Zen room and called urgently. Abbot! Abbot Suansi! It's Huaneng. Didn't I tell you not to disturb me a long time ago and just seal the mountain? Why are you so impatient here? Abbot Suansi is very charitable. Although he was urged so hastily by Huaneng, he was still not angry. His tone was full of gentleness, which was completely different from the worried look of those monks. Perhaps it also has something to do with his status. Those monks were under the guidance of Abbot Suansi. Everyone was tortured with blood in his hands, but this was also for their growth. The monks understood Abbot Suansi's intentions, but this did not affect their attitude toward the abbot, just like students to the sudden appearance of a teacher. Shadow that does not come out. Abbot, please don't be surprised. Today a man came to the temple and said he wanted to see you. I originally followed your wishes and not allowed him to come in, but someone around him called him Your Majesty. This title made the disciples confused about who he was. I didn't dare to make my own decision and insisted on stopping him, so I asked the abbot for instructions. Huaneng was sweating profusely. He finally took a breath and took a rest. He quickly explained the matter clearly, for fear of being slow and wasting time. Your Majesty, Huaneng, you must know that this word cannot be thrown around. Did you really hear it correctly? Abbot Suansi's tone also became stern. For these people in the world, although they are not ministers in the temple, they still know what it means to be loyal to the emperor and patriotic. They will also contribute their efforts in the world for their own country. This a great chivalrous person serves the country and the people. How could you not know the importance of the word Your Majesty? As long as they are not treacherous or evil, they are willing to respect the emperor, and there are not a few who are willing to seek an official position. If that's the case, you really can't stop him. So, I'll go over with you and see your majesty in person to see who he is. Abbot Suansi was not sure about Lu Feng's origins for a while, so he could only make other plans and ask the little novice monk next to him to go with him to see where Lu Feng came from. Please hurry up, Abbot, that majesty said he would only give us time for a cup of tea, otherwise he might take action. Huaneng was helpless and could only tell Lu Feng what he said. This made Abbot Suansi speechless. He didn't expect Lu Feng to be so overbearing and threaten him before they even met. Without further ado, take advantage of it. There was a bang in the Zen room, and the door was opened by a burst of internal force. Before Huaneng could see anything, he was grabbed by Abbot Suansi. Like a little chicken, he used Qinggong and rushed to the front mountain at a faster speed. Huaneng had already there was no time to react, so he could only subconsciously hold onto Abbot Suansi's arm, for fear that he would not be able to keep up and fly out. The top masters used Qinggong, and their skills were very fast. In a few breaths, Abbot Suansi had already arrived with Huaneng. Qian Shan. Abbot Suansi. When the monks saw Abbot Suansi landing on the ground, they clasped their hands and saluted. They respected him very much and moved out of the way. At the end of this road was Lu Feng sitting on the boulder. Abbot Suansi looked at him. The huge rock Lu Feng was sitting on was also stunned for a moment. Who can move this thing? 3 Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 699. Abbot Suansi has been in the Shaolin Temple for such a long time, and he has thought about moving this huge stone before to prove his own strength, but in the end it turned out to be useless. This boulder would only sway when he used his inner strength, but without using his inner strength, he couldn't even move. But my disciples said that when the boulder was moved, the person who moved it did not use internal force, and Abbot Suansi did not feel it when he was in the temple. Is this person born with supernatural powers? Abbot Suansi thought to himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to explain clearly why someone could do such an inhuman thing. Donor, our Shaolin Temple has important matters recently, and we have to close the mountain as a last resort. I wonder why the donor has such important matters that he has to come to Shaolin at this time. Abbot Suansi spoke very politely. Although he didn't know Lu Feng's purpose of coming here, he still politely explained to him why the Shaolin Temple was closed. I'm here to save you, Abbot. Lu Feng said slowly. The profound tone and attitude made Abbot Suansi unsure of what he meant. Whether you knew about the Yanmen Pass incident or not, you were the one who took the lead after all. Do you think this matter can really be hidden for a lifetime? Lu Feng didn't talk nonsense to him. One sentence made Abbot Suansi's face change drastically. Only the monks behind him didn't know what happened back then, so they didn't know what Lu Feng was talking about. But what about Abbot Suansi? He could bear the implication of this sentence. He killed the wrong person back then and suffered for his whole life. In the original work of Tianlong Ba Bulletin, Abbot Qianci died of menstruation. He could never let go of what he had done to the Xiao family. This sin also caused the tragedy of life in the following decades. It is a pity that such a top master actually died in his own hands. Amitba, this donor, could you please lend me a moment to speak? Abbot Suansi closed his eyes tightly, as if recalling the scene when he was fighting with the Xiao family. He chanted a Buddha's name, clasped his hands together, hoping to talk to Lu Feng alone. Of course, but the people I brought will not leave me. Lu Feng nodded. He was originally looking for Abbot Suansi. Now that the two of them want to talk alone, of course he is happy. He doesn't care about Dian Wei and the others behind him. Rather, if the donor wants other donors to follow him, he can go to the poor monk's Zen room, or he can wait outside the door. If he stays overnight, he can ask you to sleep in the guest room. Is that okay? Abbot Suansi let out a long sigh. He made the following arrangements for Lu Feng and his party, also to ensure that Lu Feng would not feel that he was not good at hospitality. From the bottom of his heart, he was very fond of the word Your Majesty. I don't mind. The Shaolin Temple is so big that there is no problem in leaving more than 50 people. What's more, Lu Feng mentioned the Yanmen Pass incident. It was a secret that he planned to keep buried in his heart for a lifetime. He didn't expect someone to say it in front of him. After he got out, he couldn't discuss this matter in public, right? But, Lita Euro trademark Esco. Lu Feng agreed, stood up and walked side by side with Abbot Suansi. The two of them had a tacit understanding and did not use Qinggong, but walked slowly towards the temple as if walking. Abbot Suansi's Zen room is located on the back mountain. Very quiet and suitable for conversation. Three Kingdoms, I have a job transfer palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 700. Lu Feng and Abbot Suansi walked in front, Dian Wei and others walked behind, and young novice monk Huaneng also followed. The youngest one followed Dian Wei and several big men, looking particularly weak and pitiful. All of you, please stay safe here and don't allow anyone to go up the mountain or enter the temple. However, if the famous Jiao Feng Chiao of the beggar clan comes to your door, let him come in and find me, saying that I have been waiting for a long time. Before Abbot Suansi left, he told the monks that the front mountain must still be guarded and no one could be let in. The only person he was waiting for was Jiao Feng. When the matter with Jiao Feng is resolved, the Shaolin Temple will not return. With him as the abbot, there will be no more disputes and troubles in the world. Abbot Suansi, you have lost to yourself like this in this life. Hiding here with the Buddha will not give you what you want, so why bother? Lu Feng sighed. Every time he watched Tianlong Ba Bulletin, he felt it was a pity that even a top master was misled by Murongbo. But what happened in the end? Abbot Suansi, who felt guilty, died of menstruation. Murongbo, who caused a great commotion in the martial arts world, became a monk with the sweeping monk and lived peacefully for the rest of his life. Lu Feng also felt that maybe he was not mature enough and could not understand the profound meaning of Mr. Jin Yang. He always thought of the culprit Xiao Ao living, he always feels uncomfortable in his heart. He still insists on his own theory, even if he is different from Mr. Jin Yang, people have different ideas and three views. If he saw Murongbo's grandson, he would definitely kill it. This donor, why do you always say such profound words? Why can I understand these words? You and I are strangers, how do you know my past? There is no descendant like you among my old friends. Abbot Suansi thought about it, but he couldn't figure out where Lu Feng came from. He had guessed that it was related to someone he knew, but he couldn't think of any old friend's child who was like Lu Feng, who was always related to him. It doesn't a Euro trademark T match what a Euro trademark S in my mind. The abbot misunderstood. I am not a descendant of your friend. I come from other worlds and am the emperor of other worlds. I came here to save you and save the world. Lu Feng explained his purpose of coming, letting Abbot Suansi know that every word of his words was true. He hoped that Abbot Suansi could let down his guard, stop being wary of him, and learn to trust him. Another world? Where do we start talking about this? The Buddha said that one flower and one world, one tree and one floating life, one grass and one paradise, one leaf and one Tathagata, one sand and one bliss, one square and one pure land, one smile and one dust connection, one thought and one tranquility. Do you have any idea? Such a powerful person can travel through 3,000 worlds at will. From the words of the Buddha, we can know that he supports the idea of a Euro 3,000 worlds, so as a master, Abbot Suansi also has a basic understanding of the 3,000 worlds. The topic Lu Feng talked about will not feel out of the ordinary. In the world of martial arts, everything is possible. You can understand it however you want. Everyone is willing to believe what is left in the secret book, let alone what the Buddha said. Seeing that Abbot Suansi is so easy to understand, it was also easier for Lu Feng to explain about Jiao Feng. He was originally worried that the conversation would be difficult and misunderstandings would occur. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 701. Abbot Suansi is a very talkative person, which makes it easier for Lu Feng to talk about the topic next. Since Abbot Suansi can understand the 3,000 worlds, you should know my origin. I am here to save you, and also to save the people of the world. It is impossible for the abbot to resolve the hatred between him and Jiao Feng by himself. If you do all this, then it will only make your enemies happy and your relatives in pain, so it is better to do as I say now. Lu Feng persuaded Abbot Suansi kindly, hoping that Abbot Suansi could understand his painstaking efforts, stop being a stubborn person like a cow, and listen to what he said and do it honestly. Of course, I believe that the donor is someone from afar, but it is precisely because the donor is not from our world that he cannot understand what I am doing now. Although you know me very well, you do not understand the other person. People. After this conversation, Abbot Suansi respected Lu Feng very much, but he still did not change his mind. He also said that even if Lu Feng could change him, he could not change Jiao Feng. The two of them were more stubborn than the other. I have my own way of dealing with Jiao Feng, as long as the abbot doesn't always think about committing suicide. Lu Feng regrets that this top master cut off his meridians and died. He hopes that he will listen to his advice and stop thinking about suicide. If he can stay alive in this world, he will definitely be able to cultivate more outstanding Shaolin disciples. Although Lu Feng wanted to take the abbot back to his own world, but Abbot Suansi was too stubborn. People like him had a strong sense of guilt and belonging to the Shaolin temple. If he was taken away, he would be uneasy throughout his life. It would be useless to take him back. It would be better to let him stay here, train more Shaolin disciples, and then encourage those outstanding Shaolin disciples to go down the mountain to hoe the strong and help the weak. If these top masters can survive, not only for the martial arts, but for the entire dynasties also play a very important role. You must know that the Liao kingdom and the Khitan have been eyeing the Song dynasty, and even the Jin kingdom was waiting for the opportunity. If it were not for the separation of the heroes at this time, Mr. Jin Yong would not have written the legend of the Condor Heroes. The legend of the Condor Heroes and several other films are all produced in the same dynasty. That is because the conflict of hatred between family and country was the strongest in this dynasty. The donor knows that I want to commit suicide, so I must know that you can't stop me. As long as Jiao Feng wants my life, I can give him my life at any time. This is to apologize for what happened back then, and this is also troublesome. The cause of my life has now come to an end. Abbot Suansi admitted that although he has become a top master in the world over the years, he has never been able to go further. The most important thing is that what happened back then has always troubled him and has become a demon in his heart that will never get rid of him. If he cannot settle the matter with Jiao Feng, then Abbot Suansi will not be able to get rid of the inner demon in his heart, and he will be trapped in this matter for the rest of his life. Why should the abbot be so stubborn? If I personally brought Jiao Feng to tell you what happened back then, and he stopped caring about it, wouldn't you commit suicide? Lu Feng sighed and could only express speechlessly that there was a reason why the monk was called a bald donkey. Three Kingdoms, I Have a Job Transfer Palace. Author, Strong Wine Burns the Heart. Chapter 702. Chapter 702. Abbot Suansi was stunned. He was very moved by Lu Feng's proposal, because what he really wanted was forgiveness from the Jiao Feng family. But now, as far as he knew, only Jiao Feng was left in the Jiao Feng family. Feng was a living person, and he was the brother who took the lead in this tragedy. If Chiao Feng, the only survivor, would not blame him, then his knot in his heart would also be resolved with a word of forgiveness from the other party. If such a day really comes, I am willing to continue to linger and spend the rest of my life to atone for my sins, Amitabha. Abbot Suansi recited the Buddha's name again. If he could be forgiven by the victim, he would not seek death again in this life. He would think about how he could use the rest of his life to atone for his sins. That's it, for him it is the greatest redemption and the greatest punishment. Death is never the most painful way to punish a person, it is often a kind of relief. Then the abbot should be careful these days. You have a son living outside. If others know about this, it will definitely change their view of you and have an impact on your future. If you don't attend in the gathering of heroes, this matter will not be exposed, and perhaps your status will not change. Since we can solve Chiao Feng's matter, we can also solve Su Zhu's matter. Su Zhu is the son of Abbot Suansi. Isn't it a joke that a highly respected monk has a son? And the target is Ye Erniang, which makes the world's heroes are so shocked that their views are shattered. I didn't expect the donor to be so powerful. You even know about my affair with Ye Erniang. It is true that I had an affair with Ye Erniang back then, but I didn't expect that I actually have a living son. But now I can't avoid it even if I want to. Everyone will go to the Shaoxi Mountain Heroes Conference. I definitely can't stay in the Zen room of Shaolin Temple to avoid it. I am willing to accept the punishment. Abbot Suansi is very open-minded. For him, all this should be his punishment, but now God is so kind to him, letting him know that he still has a son who is alive and well. Since God is so kind to him, he is so good, he should stand up and accept everything he did back then. Or admit in front of everyone how many unethical things he did before becoming a monk. He is willing to admit those things and be willing to bear these consequences. Just like what is written in the book, he finally punished himself with 200 sticks and died of menopause. But now with Lu Feng's persuasion, he may not commit suicide again, but he will definitely run away after being punished by the Shaolin Temple. Can't fall off. It's best if you think about it, so I won't interfere with the gathering of heroes. I'll go talk to Chiao Feng now, and I'll let him know who he really should hate. Lu Feng was relieved and told Abbot Suansi not to send him off. On his way to Qianshan, Chiao Feng would definitely pass by on the way up Qianshan. Then he would wait until night to enter Abbot Suansi's Zen room alone, wanting to argue with him about what happened back then. Who would have thought that more and more things would happen later? Chiao Feng doesn't know that the real enemy is Murongbo. Lu Feng can run over at this time and tell him who the real enemy is. Let him not be too eager to take revenge.